Hey everybody, I am Blind Ryan, and the music in the background is Hades because we are doing one of the many guide videos that everyone seems to be doing. So I don't know how to do these, so I'm just going to capture my desktop and not my mouse apparently, and we're going to just go down the wiki and see my thoughts on it. So yeah, so let's go down the weapons first. Stygius, the sword. The blade's default attack pattern is a 3-swing long combo consisting of a mixture of wide and directional swings. So you've got, so let's open this. Let's see here, it's strike, chop, thrust, and then you've got a dash thrust, and then you've got a nova smash. So I have a hard time with the sword. I think it's really weirdly timed. I don't have the timing down yet. The knockaway is extraordinarily helpful. It's one of the few times that actually Poseidon is really helpful to add to the knockaway. So it's pure melee. The Nova is useful for tagging people, like say you got an Ares buff or a Dio buff, or even an Aphrodite buff. You know, make everybody weak. So anything like that is really useful there. So. Honestly, I don't really like the Stygian blade that much, but I can use it if I have to. It's just, I tend to take more damage than not. As for the aspects, the one that I recommend is the aspect of Nemesis. For 3 seconds after you special, your attack can deal critical damage. It's great to mix with Artemis. And so basically what you would do is you would dash in, you'd hit your special, and then you'd just start attacking. And you just dash special attack, dash special attack. I've heard Poseidon does well. Your special dislodges your blood from the foes. I don't know how to use that one. That's a weird one for me. And then yeah, so that's the sword. Oh, the Daedalus upgrades. We should talk about the Daedalus upgrades. So you've got your attack deals 300% damage to armor. That's always a good take because armor's a pain in the ass. Cruel thrust. Your thrust deals 200% damage and has a 40% critical chance. Incompatible with aspect of Arthur, though dash strike looks like a thrust, does not benefit from the cruel thrust. That's good to know. So, I guess that would synergize really well with the aspect of Nemesis. I haven't actually gotten that one. Cursed Slash. Your attacks restore 2 health, but you have 60% health. I've heard tell that this is the most busted one in the game, but I've had a hard time making it work because I just take too much damage. Let's see, this upgrade affects all sources of health, including the Centaur Hearts and the Old Spike Collar, meaning you'll receive 60% less health from those two. Dash Nova, your special makes you lunge forward and then become sturdy. So basically what Dash Nova does is it turns your special into an auto dash special, which is great for getting around the room. And compatible with Great Consecration, which we don't have to worry about. Double Edge, your dash strike hits twice and deals plus 20% damage. That is extremely helpful. Just kind of for general damage dealing. Double Nova, your special hits twice but no longer knocks foes away. That depends on what you're going to go for with your special. If you've got raw damage buffs like Aphrodite, that would help with that. And then hell, if you've got Poseidon, it'll knock them away anyway. So, Flurry Slash, hold attack to strike repeatedly, dealing 25% or 25 base damage per hit. Cannot be combined with World Splitter or Cruel Thrust. I've used this one. I didn't really like it that much. I'm an attack masher rather than holder, so maybe that's probably what did it. But if you're a holder rather than a masher, then I'd say go for it. Hoarding Slash. Your attack deals bonus damage equal to 5% of your current gold. Well, if you collect gold, I don't. I spend it, so. The whole point of having gold is to get as strong as possible, as quick as possible, because Elysium will beat your ass if you're not careful. Which we will get to. Piercing Wave. Your attacks fire a wave that pierces foes, dealing 30 damage. That is actually way more helpful for room clear than you'd think. Especially if you've got something to tag, like if you've got Doom, or if you've got Dio's Poison, if you've got any of that. Chill. Anything that can go to an enemy, this will take it to the enemy, so that's always good. Shadow Slash. Your attack deals 200% damage when striking foes from behind. Well, the way I play is I'm dashing hither, thither, and yon, so at least some of my attacks are from behind. So this is a pretty good get. Supernova. Your special hits a wider area and deals 20% damage. Well, I mean, that's pretty cut and dry. It's just a better special. Increased damage radius by 20%. Does not impact hollow ground aura size. That's for something else. That's for Aspect of Arthur. World Splitter. Your attack is replaced by a big chop that deals 90 base damage. This would be great if it counted for the dash strike, but it does not. But if you can time it right, World Splitter is amazing. I mean, it just eats bosses. Incompatible with Aspect of Arthur. Cannot be combined with Flurry Slash. So, the sword is below average for me personally, but I guess people would consider it an average weapon. So, Spear. I actually really like the Spear. So let's get into that. So you've got your charge, which obviously you charge up and it does a spin attack. And it actually does quite a lot of damage, surprisingly. It's more damage than I thought it did. So the strike is just a poke. The combo is 3 pokes. Your dash attack is a wider hitting poke. Your spin attack is, spin attack. Your throw is a tracker. Well, it doesn't... Well, it's not a tracker, but it's an auto-aimer. That's what I meant to say. So it'll... you just press special twice and it'll pop out and pop right back. And if you've got something like Doom Stacking or Dio, that'll help. Surprisingly, Poseidon helps too, because it'll knock him away twice if it hits him. So, the aspects of the spear. Let's see here. The first aspect is special damage, range, and speed. That one's pretty good. Aspect of Achilles. I don't know how Raging Rush works. Your aspect of Hades. Your spin attack becomes Punishing Sweep. It's not a full 360, but it does more damage, it looks like. Let's see. Revealing the aspect of Guan Yu, not important. So they've all got special, super secret ways, and I've never used them before, and I have no idea how to rate them, so... I guess I'll make a new video when I've fully beaten the game in 12 years. So let's see here. For Daedalus upgrades, Extending Jab. Your attack has more range and deals 40% damage to distant foes. By range, they mean off-screen almost. I mean, the range is just stupid long. It's extremely helpful. Chain Skewer. Your special bounces up to 7 foes, dealing plus 30% damage for each. This basically turns your spear into a shield throw. Fucking amazing. I've used it to extensively. It's great. Reaching Skewer. Your special deals 400% damage to armor. Obvious take. Fuck armor. Poke, poke, poke. Vicious Skewer. Your special deals 50% damage and 50% more, or crit chance on recovery. Again, it's a straight-up damage upgrade. Always good. Exploding Launcher. Okay. This is far and away my favorite thing to grab. I will go out of my way to grab this thing, especially if I've got Doom or Poison or Chill or any kind of debuff. Your special is replaced with a shot that deals 50% or 50 damage in an area. It basically turns your spear into a rocket launcher. And it's amazing. Massive Spin. Your spin deals 125% damage and hits a larger area. Bigger spin. If you use spin to win, you can do it. Quick Spin. Your spin attack charges and recovers much faster. Surprisingly, they can be stacked. So that's interesting. Flurry Jab. Hold attack to strike repeatedly, but you cannot spin attack. That one, I mean, considering you're playing poke and keep away, that might actually be really good. I haven't had a chance to get it with Poseidon, but I'd really like to get it with Poseidon. Charged Skewer. Hold special to charge your Skewer for up to 200 base damage. I do not like charge moves because they keep you immobile, and that tends to screw me more often than not, but you might like them. I'm not going to tell you how to do your thing. Serrated Point is... I've fallen trapped to this one a few times. Do not take it. It's not worth it. Your dash strike hits 3 times. That's great. Your dash has 25% range. That's less great. Yeah, 25% less range, I should say. Flaring spin. Charging your spin attack makes you sturdy and pulses 30 damage. It's not the best, but it's good in a pinch. It does work. Triple jab. Your attack strikes 3 times in a spread pattern. When they say spread, they are not fucking around. It's like a 45-degree angle spread, which is great for hitting people, but it doesn't do it often enough for me to take it over something better. And then Winged Serpent is for the other one. Is for the aspect that I haven't unlocked yet. So the shield. I love the shield. I actually love the shield more than the spear. So you've got a bash, you've got a bull rush, which is you hold the attack. And now, fun fact, when you're holding the attack, you defend against damn near everything in front of you. Throw is your special. You throws the shield, it bounces. It's great for tagging enemies. Aspect of Zagreus. Attack and dash strike base damage. Aspect of Chaos. Bonus shields thrown. After you bull rush, your next special throws multiple shields. Now you can charge and release bull rush extremely quickly and throw just an unbelievable amount of shields. So that's pretty useful. Aspect of Zeus, your special is replaced with Blitz Disc. I don't know what Blitz Disc does. We'll move. Oh yeah, that's the Rift. We'll move through foes until stopping in place for 10 seconds or until special is pressed again, at which point it travels back to Zagreus. Now, if you can use it, I mean, great, but I had a hard time using it. It was pretty fun, though. And then, Aspect of Beowulf I haven't unlocked yet, so... let's see... Now for the Daedalus upgrades. Dreadflight. Your special can strike up to 4 additional foes before returning. This is how you make a special build. This is how you make a Captain America build. You just throw your shield over and over again, preferably with Doom or Poison or Zap or anything like that. Sudden Rush. Your Bull Rush charges much faster. Pulverizing Blow. Your attack hits twice, but does not knock foes away. That one's interesting because I like the knockaway, but I've also used Pulverizing Blow to win, to beat bosses. I haven't beaten the game with the shield yet, but I've only beaten the game with the fists so far. But it can be useful. It really depends on what you have. If you have something that can stack, like Doom with the upgrade that lets it stack, that's great, but Dashing Wallop. Your dash attack does 50% damage in a larger area. I've always take this. I love this thing. It is a much larger area. It's not further out, but it's further around, and that's useful. Explosive Return. Your special deals 50 damage to nearby foes when you catch it. This is actually more useful than you'd think, especially if you're doing a shield build, or if you're doing a throw build. I will always take this because I find myself constantly in the shit because, well, the enemies are like that. Minotaur Rush. Your Bull Rush gets a Power Rush that does plus 500% damage. I've never gotten this one, so I can't speak to it. Presumably, you just hold the button down more. Your Bull Rush does more damage, 400% more damage to armor. I've never actually seen that one. I wish I had, because I would grab it. Your Bull Rush instead fires a piercing shot that deals 80 base damage. I've actually used this one to great effect, too. It's very useful. The projectile is also unblockable. This is how you deal with shielders, those fuckers. Charged Flight. Hold special to charge up your throw for up to 200% damage. I don't like that one. For the same reason I don't like any charge up shot. Let's see. Empowering Flight. After your special hits, your next 2 attacks deal 80% damage. This is good if you've got 2 curses, 1 for each thing. Like if you've got Weak for your attack and like Dio for your special, which I've had. You throw your special, then you start smacking, and then you just throw your special, start smacking. So it basically goes dash special to attack, dash special attack, and then dashing flight. When you dash, your special is faster and deals 100% more damage. The damage isn't so much, but when you use this, the damn thing curves. It's fucking amazing to watch. It actively goes ham on finding enemies, and I love the damn thing. Dashing flight is amazing. It's probably just me being silly, but I love seeing my shield just swoop and turn on a dime. It's actually quite a wide angle of turn, but it's still funny as hell. Ferocious Guard. After blocking a foe, gain 20% damage and move speed for 10 seconds. I have not gotten this one, but I really wish I had because I do use blocks sometimes, like during the Meg fight or any other fight where I know there's going to be a lot of projectiles. And that looks like that's it for the shield. So now we go to the bow. I have a love-hate relationship with this goddamn thing. I do not use charge shots, as you know, and their primary attack is a charge shot. So I tend to go fanfire by quite a lot. So let's see here. You've got your hold attack to fire, you've got your dash attack, which charges it up faster, and that's the problem I have. It's not a consistent thing. Most of the time I'm dashing, so I'm not used to the dash timing, and then there's the regular timing. It just, it's too much, so I stick to volley fire. Let's see here. Press special to volley fire, releasing 9 arrows in a wide arc. Let's see. Power shots on dash attacks deal less damage. That I didn't know. So, Aspect of Zagreus. Critical attack chance. That's always useful. That'd be good for an Artemis build. It gets up to 10%, so yeah, that's good. Aspect of Chiron, which I think everyone loves. Everyone loves the Aspect of Chiron. Your special automatically seeks the foe last struck by your attack. And that's cool and all, but you only get 4 arrows at first. You can upgrade it to 8. But, you have to actually fire and hit the enemy with an attack first, and, well, I never use attack, so it doesn't really work that well for me. But I have seen it work really well, especially with something like Zeus's Zap. Amazing. Let's see. Your cast loads into your next attack. Your blood cast loads into your next attack, firing on impact. The ammo drop is from 10 seconds down to 5 seconds. I don't know how this would actually work with the charge up, which I'll get to, because I exclusively use the charge instead of having to retrieve the little fuckers, because I can never find them. So, let's see here. For the Daedalus upgrades, you got Twin Shot. Your attack fires 2 shots side by side, but has reduced range. Definitely does fire 2 shots side by side, like literally right next to each other, and the range is much smaller. So if you are into point blanking and really, close range stuff, I'd say go for it, but I don't use it that much. Your attack deal, Sniper Shot. Your attack deals 200% damage to distant foes. This sounds like a great thing, but the distant foes part is really, really finicky, and it really doesn't do that much. I mean, it does not give you that much leeway. Let's see. Explosive Shot. Your attack deals 300% base damage in an area, but charges slower. If I've got, like, Poseidon, I'll grab Explosive Shot. Otherwise, I tend to skip it because, again, I don't use charge shots. But when it does work, like for dealing with skulls and smaller enemies, it's amazing. Flurry Shot I always get. Hold attack to shoot rapidly, but you cannot power shot. Well, that suits me right down to the ground. And it auto aims, too, so... I have done it where you stand in a room and just hold fire. Let's see, Piercing Volley. Your special pierces foes and deal 400% damage to armor. Well, obviously. Makes the special unblockable. Nice. Perfect Shot. Your power shot is easier to execute and deals 150% damage. That one's probably for Brandon. Because I know he uses the regular shots rather than the fan shot. Or the volley. I'm fucking calling it the wrong name. Relentless Volley. Your special shoots 4 shots. It doesn't make the spread any wider, it just fills more area of the spread. So if you've got something like Zeus, or if you've got something like Ares, or even Poseidon works, because it'll knock them, it'll better chance to knock them away. Triple Shot. Your attack fires 3 shots in a spread pattern. I actually haven't gotten this one yet, but it sounds amazing. Charged Volley. This one has bit me in the ass more times than I care to admit. Hold special for up to 300% damage. Minimum range is reduced. It's a charge shot, and it's terrible. It never hits anybody. I hate it. Chain Shot. Your attack bounces up to 3 foes, dealing 15% damage for each. In theory, this should work really well. I've used something similar for the gun, and it seems to work really well, but again, I don't use attacks, so... Point Blank Shot. Your attack deals 150% damage to nearby foes. If you have a choice between Point Blank and Sniper, take Point Blank, because you are going to always be closer rather than further from your enemies, because they're always going to be bum rushing you. So, yeah. Concentrated Volley. Your special deals 3% or plus 3 base damage for each consecutive hit to a foe. I like this one because I tend to use the shot really, really close to enemies. I either use it to tag them, or far away, or I use it to get really close and do just an ungodly amount of damage to their armor. because armor sucks. So, in talking about the fan shot, I probably should let you all know, in case you're blind and listening to this, that anything you use, attacks or specials or what have you, will dispel most bullets. It doesn't do the rift things, you know, the wave shooters, and it doesn't do with the bombs, but like the little piddly bullets that the enemies will fire at you. Like fan shot is amazing for getting rid of walls of bullets, so keep that in mind when you're using the bow. It's also helpful. It's also nominally helpful when using the shield or the spear, but the range, I mean the sides are kind of fucked up on those, so it doesn't work quite as well. So let's see. Now we go to Malfor, the Twin Fists, my favoriteest weapon in the game, because I do really well with it. So the aspect of Zagreus is a flat dodge bonus. Go to Hermes, get another dodge bonus, and you might have up to 25% dodge at the minimum. At the maximum, I think you can get up to somewhere in the neighborhood of like 30 or 40%, which is just absurd. The other really good one is the aspect of Talos. Your special becomes Magnetic Cutter. And basically what it would do is then it would pull the enemy in for punching. So, that thing is amazing. I love it. I haven't unlocked all of them, but like even the first level, just 10% damage bonus. And also it gives you more cast damage, which I don't really use casting that much. I really should. Aspect of Demeter, which I really want to try, but after landing 12 strikes, your next special hits more times. And it can hit more if 5 more times, from 1 to 5. And like that sounds like amazing damage, and you would obviously stack it with Demeters to get as much damage out of those super punches as possible. And I assume it makes a noise when it's ready. So, that would be something to try. And that's the other thing. All the upgrades for the fists seem really, really good. Alright, so now we got our Daedalus upgrades. Breaching Cross. Your dash strike pierces foes and deals 900% damage to armor. I always take this every time without exception when it's offered, because this thing annihilates armor. It's the most armor destruction I've ever seen out of anything, and I love the damn thing, because I'm always zipping and dashing and crossing up and all that crap anyway, so it fits right in for me. Let's see. Rolling Knuckle. Your dash strike deals 60% damage and is added to the attack sequence. I don't use hold to attack, but if you do use hold to attack, this is amazing. For me, not so much. So basically what it would do is you hold the attack button and it hits for like 5 times, and then it'll throw that cross, or the rolling knuckle, and it'll immediately go back to, you know, punching. So, like I said, if you use that, it's great, but otherwise, Long Knuckle. Your attack has more range and deals 10% damage. It's not super long range, but I would consider it a medium range attack now. And yeah, it's a solid taker. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but I mean, it's not something that's going to make a build, but it is something that's going to augment your build. Draining Cutter. Whenever your special slays foes, restore 2% life. My problem with this is I tend to use Doom and Poison and other stuff, and those tend to get the kills rather than the uppercuts. But it would seem like for something like Demeter, this would be amazing for Demeter, if I can learn how to say the name. Concentrated Knuckle. Again, for holders. Your attack deals +5 base damage for each uninterrupted hit to a foe. If you're just standing there punching them, this is going to do stupid amounts of damage. If you're like me and dodge and dash around, not so much. Explosive Upper. Your dash upper deals 100% damage in an area, and it's incompatible with the kinetic launcher. So your dash upper, that's dash and special. So keep that in mind. It doesn't work for the regular ones. And yeah, it definitely does 100% damage in an area. It is great for killing small things. Flying Cutter, hold special. Well, that's the end of that one. For longer range and up to 200% base damage. It does work, but I don't like how it flows, in that it doesn't flow at all. Rush Kick. This is one I really want to get. Your special becomes an advancing kick that deals 40 base damage twice. I really want this ability, but I haven't had it come up yet. Quake Cutter. After using your special, deal 40% damage, or deal 40 damage in an area where you land. So with the special, you can hit it twice. He'll do, you know, punch, punch, and then he'll come down. With this, he'll do punch, punch, and then he'll come down and deal 40 damage. So it's basically a third hit if you're using special a lot. Let's see. Kinetic Launcher. Your special becomes a charged range attack that deals 50 base damage. I haven't gotten this one. I really want to get this one to try it because it sounds really good. Because you don't get any real range with the fists. In fact, they're the least rangy thing in the game. So having this would probably be really helpful. Heavy Knuckle. Don't ever fall into this trap. Your attack becomes a slower 3-hit sequence. Each deals 35 base damage. I do not like this thing. It slows your fight. It slows your rhythm down to an absolute ass-grinding halt, and it's ruined runs for me. Let's see here. Colossal Knuckle is a take if you don't have anything better. When using your attack or special, you are steady. What steady does is it's a straight-up damage drop, and it basically protects you while you're attacking. I haven't seen it do amazing things, but it has done some good. It's kept me alive sometimes, so there's that. And now, lastly, the Z-Gun. Z-Exagriff. Let's see here. So, Exagriff, you are either firing. Now, keep in mind with the firing, it will take out bullets. Like from the imps, but it will not stagger enemies like fatties or strikers. I don't know what their real names are. I just know what I call them. Or even the brimstone. It doesn't stop the lasers. So keep that in mind that the gun does not do stagger. You've got your dash attack, which fires a few shots just immediately, just boom, boom, boom. You got reload, which is weird. You've got bombard, which is amazing. You press special and it launches a mortar round. The problem is the mortar round takes quite a while to hit, so make sure whatever you're aiming at is going to stay there for a minute. So you've got your aspects. You've got Zag, who you get bonus ammo straight up from 4 all the way up to 12. That's pretty good actually, because reloading sucks. Errs, for 8 seconds after absorbing your special's blast, deal more damage. I don't know how blind people would use this, but basically what you do is you dash into where your special is, and then you just do more damage for... Oh, it doesn't say how long. It really should. But you do up to 75% bonus damage, which is not nothing. Hestia, after you manually reload, well, there's that one done. Your next shot is empowered. I don't use manual reload. It's really awkward to use, so I just don't. Alright, so upgrades. Flurry Fire. Your attack is faster and more accurate. Gets 6 ammo capacity. This is a good take, just kind of in general, because you're going to be using your attack a lot to tag enemies and plink them. So it's a pretty good take. Spread Fire. Your attack becomes a short-range spread that deals 40 base damage, lose 6 ammo capacity. This turns your gun into a shotgun. This turns it into a melee build, basically. I've only gotten this once, and I had an amazingly fun time with it. I was so squishy, though. I couldn't really get far, but I took out Lerny super fast. And so I love that thing. Explosive Fire. Your attacks deal damage in an area and briefly slow foes. I haven't gotten this one, but I'd love to get it. It sounds like it'd be really good. I'd love to get it with Spread Fire, because I'd love to see what that would do. Delta, your attack is a 3-round burst. You never have to reload. This is amazing. Take this one every time, because fuck reloading. Seriously. You just dash fire, dash fire, dash fire. It's fucking amazing. Your attack pierces, piercing fire. Your attack pierces foes and deals 50% damage to armor. Obviously, it's a grab. Anything armor breaking, grab it. Triple Bomb. You can use your special 3 times in rapid succession. If you've got something that bumps damage to your special, you can just fire it off like just insane amounts. Just boom, 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 in a small area. Or you can spread it out if you want. It's amazing. Rocket Bomb. Your special is replaced with a rocket that deals 80 base damage. So I learned a fun thing about this. What is it called? This Rocket Bomb synergizes insanely well with Cluster Bomb, which we'll get to. It fires a rocket. it turns it into a instead of a mortar strike, it turns it into a direct strike, which I would take it. I always take it. So it's great. Targeting system. Foes targeted by your special move slower and take 30% damage. It works. I mean, it's a straight upgrade, so hey. Hazard Bomb. Your special deals 300% base damage in a large area, but can hurt you. I want to try this one. Blind people, I would not recommend taking it, though. Although, honestly, it's so rare that your shot is aimed right at you. Excuse me, I'm thirsty. So, Cluster Bomb. Your special fires a spread of 5 bombs, but each does minus 30% damage. So you use the aforementioned Rocket Bomb with Cluster Bomb, and you fire out 5 rockets in a fan. Now, let's say you dash up right to the enemy's ass, and you basically fire 5 rockets up their ass. It does a retarded amount of damage. Like an actual... Just a stupid amount of damage. Oh god, it does so much damage. It was amazing. And I didn't have anything special on it yet either. That was the best part. I can't imagine if I'd had something like of Demeter or something on it. Can you imagine critting with 5 rockets just... Seeking Fire. Your attack seeks the nearest foe and deals 10% damage. I haven't gotten that one. I really want to get that one. That one sounds amazing, especially for blind people. And then you got a bunch of Aspect of Lucifer exclusives, which I haven't unlocked yet. Alright, so those are the weapons. Hopefully you guys were able to suss out something from that. Mirror of the Night. I'll do a mirror guide, because everyone's doing mirror guides. Might as well do one too. I'm just going to go over each tier, just down the list. So, Shadow Presence. Each rank gives you 10% damage when you strike foes from behind. And, versus Fiery Presence. Each rank makes you deal 20% damage when you strike undamaged foes. You can go up to 100% extra damage when striking undamaged foes, and you can go up to 50% damage when striking from behind. So, it really depends on what you're doing. If you're doing a gun build, you take Fiery Presence because you can drop your special and just... Or if you're doing a bow build and you're using your charge shot, why would you use your charge shot? Say you get Explosive Shot, you deal 300% plus another 100% damage for fucking your first strike. You could completely obliterate everything. That'd be amazing. So, Chthonic, the next one is, I mean, that one's kind of pick your poison. If you're doing melee, pick Shadow Presence. If you're doing ranged, pick Fiery Presence. That's basically, are you doing little hits or are you doing big hits? So, Chthonic Vitality. Each rank restores up to 3 per chamber health. Or Dark Regeneration. Each rank makes 30% of any darkness you collect restore health by that much. 60% is total. So you're either healing 3 per room cleared, or you're healing 60% every time you get darkness. Now originally I used Dark Regeneration exclusively, but I've heard some other videos say that the 3 per chamber counts big in sticks, where you have to go through a lot of little tiny chambers. So I'm gonna actually start using Chthonic Vitality instead of Dark Regeneration because it's more sustained, like you're always healing rather than if you get darkness, because you honestly don't actually get that much darkness all told. So today I learned. Death Defiance versus Stubborn Defiance. This one's interesting. Death Defiance gives you extra lives. You can have up to 3 lives. Cool. Stubborn Defiance. This restores you to 30% life, 1 time per chamber when your life total is depleted. I would argue that blind people should take this one until such time as they've really gotten used to all of Asphodel's rooms, the layouts. I mean, I don't know how you would do that. It's open fire, so... But you would lose a life, then you'd get it back. Then you'd lose another life, then you'd get it back in the next room. It's just, you're always getting your life back in the next room. And then you would take Skelly's you would take Skelly's Tooth to get an extra life. The thing of it is if you lose Skelly's Tooth, you're done. You just lose Skelly's Tooth. You get the extra life back originally, but you don't get 2 extra lives. So that's something to keep in mind. So I would say newbies should take Stubborn Defiance, whereas people who are... It's basically, do you have trouble with certain areas of the game, Stubborn Defiance, or do you have problems with the last part of the game, Death Defiance? Because, like, the Hades fight is an absolute bitch. I've gone through, like, 2-3 lives beating that son of a bitch. So, for me, I take Death Defiance every time, because I can deal with the fire, I can deal with the traps most of the time. I can deal with all that other shit. So it's kind of, your mileage may vary, whatever you want for you. So, now we get to the dashes. Greater Reflex. You get 1 more dash. Or, Ruthless Reflex. If you dash just before getting hit, you gain 50% damage and dodge for 2 seconds. I always take Ruthless Reflex because for some reason I flow better using 1 run, 1 dash, and the 50% dodge is amazing on melee builds. And the damage is nice too, but the dodge is super useful. But if you really, really, really want the extra dash, I mean, go Greater Reflex. This really is kind of how do you play best. Boiling Blood versus Abyssal Blood. I've heard arguments for Abyssal Blood, but I prefer Boiling Blood personally. So Boiling Blood, 50% when you've got it totally upgraded, 50% damage to foes with blood in them. You know, your cast. So what you would do is you basically pop a blood on the boss and just open fire. And then Abyssal Blood, which other people seem to really like, 25% less speed and damage from the boss, from anything you have that has a blood in them. I've used it. I didn't like it as much. I like killing the bosses as quickly as I can because, boy, if you let them linger, they will beat your ass down. So, next up, Infernal Soul versus Stygian Soul. I always take Stygian Soul, and I recommend all blind people take it too. So Infernal Soul gives you 2 more Bloodstones to throw. Stygian Soul makes your Bloodstone regenerate, and it can get down to 3 seconds. Actually, it can get down to 2 seconds if you're super lucky and get a good Hermes drop. And 3 seconds may seem like a lot, but it really, really isn't. And something like Demeter's Arrow is just stupidly good with Stygian Soul, so I recommend everybody take Stygian Soul. Deep Pockets versus Golden Touch. Deep Pockets, you start with 100 gold. Golden Touch, you get 15% more gold after every Underworld region. So, originally I liked Golden Touch because I was like, oh, I'll have a bunch of gold at the end. Well, the problem is, you really need the gold in the beginning. So I tend to go for Deep Pockets because in the very beginning, you're really starved for boons, and you need those boons, and you need those hearts, and you need those, you know, everything. Fucking food and just everything from Karen's shop and the wells. So, yeah, I say take Deep Pockets. And if you're really brave, take Hypnosis Trinket, too, which we'll get to, trust me. So next we got Thick Skin and High Confidence. I don't know why anybody would take High Confidence except for bragging rights. Thick Skin gives you up to 50 extra health. Just flat extra health. 2 hearts. Or two Centaur hearts. I mean, that's just amazing. High Confidence gives you up to 25% extra damage while you have 80% health or greater. Let's be real. We're not going to have 80% health or greater. That's just shit. It just ain't going to fly. So take Thick Skin on that one. Privilege Status versus Family Favorite. Privilege Status gives you 40% versus foes afflicted by at least 2 status curse effects, like Jolted or Weak or Dio's Poison or Doom or Rupture from Poseidon or anything like that. So if you got 2 of them at least, you deal 40% more damage. Family Favorite. Each rank gives you, well, you get 5% damage boost per Olympian for each different Olympian whose boons you have. So let's see here. Let me go here real quick. You can have up to, let's see. Let me just... 5% damage per Olympian. Okay. So let's see. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. You can have up to 45% if you have one of every single boon. Or every single god. I don't know how possible that is in a given run. You're probably more likely to get it around like 3 or 4 or 5, so that's like 25% probably. But I mean, it's less bullshit to have to deal with. On the other hand, if you really like curse builds, if you really like weakness and poison and doom and marked from Artemis and all that other shit, go for that. It really depends on what you're trying to go for. Like if I'm using the bow and I'm using my fan shot and all that shit, I'll actually use privilege status because I can get like Aphrodite's weak on dash, and then I can get the fan shot from like Zeus and he'll, jolt him, and then I'll do a bunch more damage to him. But usually I take family favor just because it's less to have to worry about. Olympian favor versus dark foresight. So I always take dark foresight. And Olympian favor. Each rank up to 40% chance for a boon to be rare. That sounds really great on paper. The problem is there are tons of ways for a boon to be rare. So, I mean, if you want more stability in your boon choices, go for this one, but I prefer dark foresight. Each rank gives you up to 20% chance for gold laurel rewards, boons, hammers, and palms. So what dark foresight does is it exchanges the permanent rewards like gems and gems and darkness and stuff like that for more run rewards like your boons and palms and hammers. So honestly, either one would work. Like if you were trying to unlock things in the home, you would go for Olympian favor because that doesn't fuck with that. But if you're going to actually beat Hades, if you're this close to beating that motherfucker, you would take dark foresight to get more boons. Also, it would synergize with privilege status too. Or yeah, privilege status and family favored, honestly. So yeah, that was actually a bit more of a pick'em than I thought originally. So God's Pride and God's Legacy. This is interesting. God's Pride gives you 20% chance for a boon to be epic when it's fully upgraded. And God's Legacy, each rank gives you up to 10% chance for a boon to be legendary or a duo boon if possible. So there is no way to guarantee legendary or duo boons. So I generally take God's Legacy because legendary effects tend to be pretty awesome. But if you're going for kind of a simpler build, like if you're going for an Ares build, you would totally take God's Pride. Or anything like that deals actual number damage rather than percent damage, you'd probably want God's Pride. Because that'll jump the numbers way the fuck up. So I don't know, it really does depend on what you want to do. Do you want a 20% chance to have a boon to be epic, which would synergize pretty well with the boons to be rare too, from Olympian favor? Or do you want more legendary or duo boons, which would, synergize really well with dark foresight because it would allow for more boons to drop. So, and then finally, Fated Authority versus Fated Persuasion. Fated Authority. Each rank gives you 1 die used to randomly alter the reward for the next chamber. You can get up to 8 of them. So this would basically allow you to re-roll an area. For blind people, it wouldn't do a damn thing. Because we don't know what, you guys don't know what you're getting. And then Fated Persuasion, this is the one that everybody takes. You can upgrade 4 times, so you get 4 dies. Each rank gives you 1 die, used to randomly alter Boon or Well of Charon's choices. So the problem with this one is, I've had it happen where I've re-rolled a boon and have gotten the exact same boon, same rarity and everything. It's been really fucking annoying. So these bottom ones are the ones you upgrade last because they either don't work, Fated Authority for you guys, or they don't work well, Fated Persuasion. So that's how I would take the mirror. I really like that the mirror is so your mileage may vary. I like that almost everything is viable, except for high confidence. Fuck high confidence. You want thick skin all the time. So now let's look at the boons. Oh, God in heaven. Oh, they don't have a big list. I'm going to have to go through each one of these. So, let's open them up. We've got Aphrodite, we've got Ares, we've got Artemis, we've got Athena, we've got Chaos. I'll do her at the end. Oh. He is at the end. They are at the end. Io, Hermes, Poseidon, and Zeusy. Alright, Chaos goes at the very end. Well, let's go over these fucking boons. This is gonna take a while. This is gonna be a long fucking video. Aphrodite, goddess of love. I fucking hate Aphrodite. I don't mind her boons. I just hate her as a person. I can't stand that coquettish kind of personality that she has. It drives me up a tree. So, here we go. Boons. Heartbreak Strike. Your attack deals more damage and inflicts weak. So, commonly, for your common, it deals 50% more damage. And then the further up the tree you go, it goes, it does more base damage. And I want to see how that compares with other people. Like, let's see, for Artemis it only does 20%. For Athena it does 40%. For Dio does poison. What does Dem do? Yeah, Dem does 40%. Poseidon only does 30%. Wow. So Aphrodite, if you want percentage bumps, Aphrodite's the way to go, because she starts off at 50% base and then she gives weak. And then Heartbreak Flourish, your special deals more damage, 80%, and deals weak. Crush Shot, your cast is a wide, short-range blast that inflicts weak. If you know enemies are right up on your shit, this thing will ruin them. I actually really like grabbing this because it's a good shotgun. Passion Flare, your cast damages foes around you and inflicts weak. Oh, it's unique to an aspect that we don't have. Passion Dash, your dash inflicts damage where you end up, inflicting weak. This would be way better if it inflicted weak when you where you started rather than where you ended up, because I tend to be dodging away from enemies. But it's still pretty useful if you're using a curse build to tag enemies. Aphrodite's Aid, your call fires a seeking projectile that inflicts charm. I've never used charm. I have no interest in charm. It seems like it'd be way too fickle to use. So for a call, I would say take someone else. Dying Lament. When foes are slain, they damage nearby foes and inflict weak. This could be insanely useful or completely worthless depending on who you're fighting. If you're clearing rooms, though, this thing is really useful. Because, weak. After you take damage, Wave of Despair. After you take damage, damage nearby foes and inflict weak. Doesn't do very much damage. Weak, is what it is. Different League. Resist damage. Flat. Damage resist. Going up to 17.5%. Life Affirmation. Any health or healing chambers are worth more. So, this will give you more health back. This will give you more health from Centaur Hearts. Very useful. Let's see. Empty Inside. Your weak effects have a longer duration. That's pretty self-explanatory. It just strengthens your weak curse. Sweet Surrender. Weak afflicted foes are also more susceptible to damage. I've never gotten this one. I wish I had. Broken Resolve. Your weak effects are more potent. Damage reduction, 12 point... more damage reduction, 10% more, all the way up to 17.5% more. Blown Kiss. Your cast shoots farther and is stronger against undamaged foes. I've never gotten that one. I'd love to try that one. Unhealthy Fixation. Your weak effects have a 15% chance to charm foes. That's a legendary one. And I just don't like charm, so I would never take it. Nor have I even seen it. And now we've got some duo stuff. Curse of Longing. Your doom effects continuously strike weak foes. So this one I have gotten a few times. For example, I'll dash into enemies to weaken them. And then I will fire the fan shot from the bow, because that was the one that I had it on one of the times. And so they would just constantly bleed dry. It was great. Heartrend, duo with Artemis. Your critical effects deal even more damage to weak foes. Pretty self-explanatory. Athena. Your cast gains any bonuses you have from striking foes from behind. So presumably for Athena, you would build up all the backstab damage, and then you would just use your cast and completely ass smash the enemies. Never gotten that one. What the hell? Oh, I see what this does. Demeter's cast is a beam, and Cold Embrace, your cast crystal fires its beam directly at you for 4 seconds. So, like, if you put it between you and an enemy, it would just completely wreck the enemy. I don't know how useful that would be. The duo with Dio is low tolerance. Your hangover effects stack even more times against weak foes. So, I didn't know this. Dio's poison only stacks 5 times, but this gives it a bonus of 3 stacks, so it can stack up to 8 times on a weak enemy. Sweet Nectar from duo with Poseidon. Any palms of power are more effective. I want this so badly because it sounds amazing. Smoldering Air, a duo with Zeus. Your call charges up automatically, but it's capped at 25%. That sounds awful, because I tend to use my calls at the very end of a fight, like when I'm fighting a boss, to make sure that I win the fight. So yeah, that sounds horrible. I don't know why anybody would do that. So now we go to Ares. Ares' big thing is Doom, which is basically your Sword of Damocles. You hit an enemy, and it does... it waits for 1.1 seconds, and then it just falls on them. So, your attacks inflict doom. It starts at 50, it ends at 125 if you've got a heroic. Curse of Pain. Your special inflicts doom. This is amazing for anything with an AoE or your fan shot from your bow. It starts at 60 and ends at 120. So, yeah. You basically get Curse of Pain. You fire your special and everything just dies. It doesn't help very much for bosses, but for regular enemies, forget about it. Slicing Shot. Your cast sends a blade rift hurling ahead. I love this thing, and I'm not entirely sure why. It's a pretty good-sized circle for what it is. It's basically just a big sonic boom that doesn't go away for a minute. And I love this thing. And any enemy caught in it does... Let me see here. What the fuck? I think they misdid it. I think it's rift damage per hit. 20, 21, 23, 24 probably. Anyway, Slicing Flare. What the hell? Oh, it's that one's unique to something else. Blade Dash. Your dash creates a blade rift where you started. This one's actually really useful for chasing enemies, which there are a few of them. But I've found that taking this when I'm using like the fists, I can just zip and zap around the enemies, and I'll have multiple blade dashes just hitting them for damage. It's very nice. Ares' Aid. Your call turns you into an impervious blade rift for 1.2 seconds. Actually, when you get max gauge, it's a fairly lengthy amount of time, and you just find an enemy and stay there, and it does quite a lot of damage. After you take damage, Curse of Vengeance. After you take damage, inflict doom on surrounding foes. That's the thing to remember, surrounding foes. If you're not close to enemies, you will not be hitting them with this. So generally this is to be avoided unless you're doing a melee build. Urge to Kill. Your cast and attack deal more damage. It's not that much more damage, but it's a bit more damage. Battle Rage. After slaying a foe, your next attack or special deals more damage. I'm sure blind people who use the bow exclusively and use your power shot would fucking love Battle Rage. I've tried using it to great effect, and I've used it to some effect. Blood Frenzy. After using Death Defiance, deal more damage that encounter. Fairly straightforward. Kind of always nice to have. Black Metal. Your Blade Rift powers deal damage in a wider area. This thing makes it huge comparatively. It's a good-sized big boy. Engulfing Vortex. Your Blade Rift effects last longer and pull foes in. I really want to get this one. I had one chance to get it and I didn't take it and I regret it. Dire Misfortune. Your Doom effects deal more damage when applied multiple times. This is the one you use with your fan shot if you're hitting multiple enemies just all the time. Or you'd use this one with the gun. You just keep firing at enemies just over and over and over again and it'll keep doing damage. Impending Doom. Your Doom effects deal way more damage after half a second longer of waiting. And it's not kidding about that. It deals from starting at 60% more damage all the way up to 78% more damage. Those big doings. And Ares is legendary. Your Blade Rift effects deal more damage for each consecutive hit. I've never gotten it. I totally want to get it. And then, let's see. Curse of Lung, we've already done. These are now we're getting into the duo effects. Hunting Blades. Your cast creates a faster Blade Rift that seeks the nearest foe. Blind people would shit their pants for this thing. Because it basically turns your Blade Rift into a seeking Blade Rift. You just set it and forget it. The duo with Athena is called a Merciful End. Your attacks that can deflect immediately activate Doom effects. That would be amazing with Athena's dash. Duo with Demeter, Freezing Vortex. Your cast inflicts chill, but is smaller and moves slower. A duo with Dio, your poison effects deal damage faster. Damage rate is, whoa, from half a second to a third of a second. Jesus Christ. Duo with Poseidon, Curse of Drowning. Your cast is a pulse that deals damage to foes around you. I'd like to try that, actually, because that sounds amazing. And the duo with Zeus is Vengeful Mood. Your revenge attacks sometimes occur without taking damage. That's great. Again, I'd love to try that. I just realized this is going to take a long damn time. This is going to be a big guide, and I'm going to miss things. But, you know, is what it is. So, Demeter is all about critical strike. Nothing fancy, just way more damage. Your attack is stronger with a 15% chance to deal critical damage. Well, when they say stronger, they only mean 20% at start. And then Deadly Flourish, your special is stronger, and that one's 40% damage at start. True Shot, your cast seeks foes with a 10% chance to deal critical damage. Any blind person should take this as their cast. Because when they say seek foes, they are not fucking around. That thing just zips right to them. Hunter's Flare. Your cast damages foes around you with a 10% critical chance. I have never gotten this one, so... Oh, that's unique to something else. Sorry. Hunter Dash. Your dash strike does more damage. It starts at 50% and it goes up to 125%. This one's kind of underwhelming. I keep expecting it to wow me and it never does, so I'm going to stop taking it probably. Artemis Aid. Your call fires a seeking arrow with a 35% crit chance. If you wait for this thing to be fully charged on your call, she'll fire like 10 fucking arrows that just obliterate everything in the room. It's amazing. Pressure Point. Any damage you deal has a chance to be critical. It starts at 3% and it ends at 6%, so it's a good one to take, especially if you fire a lot of shots. Let's see. Your foes take exit wounds. Your foes take damage when your blood stuck in them is dislodged. So this one's good to have if you do what I do. Whenever you find a boss, you just automatically start firing your casts at them, regardless of what it is. I mean, there are better ones out there to take, but this one's not a bad one to have. The dislodge damage starts at 100, so it's not a small amount. Hidebreaker. Your critical effects deal even more damage to armor. If you're going crit, this would be the one to take. It starts at 200% armor and goes way, way up from there. Clean Kill. Your critical effects deal even more damage. It starts at 15% extra damage and ends at 37.5% damage. I don't deal crits enough for that to really matter, but if you do, I mean, this would help. Hunter Instinct. Your God Gauge charges faster when you deal critical damage. I mean, what can I say? That's pretty cut and dry. That's pretty useful. If you use, crits. Hunter's Mark. After you deal crit damage to a foe near it is marked. Not the foe itself, but the foes near it. I didn't like it. It didn't work for me. It was good for applying a curse, though, so you're doing curse builds. Support fire. This is the best thing she's got, I think. This is how you get Macross Missile Massacre. After you hit with an attack, a cast, or a special, fire a seeking arrow. It literally fly out of the back of you and just start going around. You don't even have to worry about it. And it starts at level 10, or it starts at 10 damage and it ends at 16 damage. It works amazingly. I totally love support fire. Especially if you're using something like the fists or the gun or the fan shot from the bow. It sends so many of those little green bastards out. It just floating around, searching for enemies. Legendary, fully loaded. Gain extra blood for your cast. I've never gotten it. It sounds like it'd be pretty useful, though. You could fire a bunch of Seeker arrows, or you know, whatever you're using. I just imagine firing off 3 blade rifts. That'd be amazing. So we got the duo with Aphrodite and Ares. We've already seen those. Duo with Athena. After you deflect briefly, gain 20% chance to deal critical damage. So that would be your crit build right there. Duo with Demeter is Crystal Clarity. Your cast is stronger and tracks foes more effectively. Wait. Does that mean... Wait. Oh! Oh! This is the one that makes the laser beam track enemies better. Okay, I've seen that one on videos. Splitting Headache with Dionysus. Hangover-afflicted foes are more likely to take critical damage. So you've got 5 stacks and bonus critical chance per stack. So that's 1.5. So that'd be what? 7.5% extra crit chance? Hey. Duel with Poseidon. Your cast fires a second projectile, though it has reduced damage. Mirage Shot. Hey. And then the duo with Zeus is Lightning Rod. Your collectible... Oh, this would be for if you're using the collectible one, so we wouldn't really use this one very much. Your collectible blood strikes nearby foes with lightning every half second, and lightning damages quite a lot. So presumably you would just leave them out for Zeusy to zap the shit out of them. And now Athena, the bar none best boon in the game. Just far and away best boon. So let me get some water. Deflection is ridiculously good. So her Divine Strike and her Divine Flourish is your attack and your special. Deals 40% extra and 60% extra respectively. And then they deflect. So depending on what you're using, I've used Divine Flourish with Fan Shot and it just gets rid of all the arrows and stuff that are being fired at you. Very useful. But the big one that everyone should take is Divine Dash. Your dash deals damage, whoop-de-doo, piddling amount of damage, and can deflect. And deflect it does. It will deflect all the things. And then, let's see here, your Phalanx Shot. Your cast damages foes in a small area and can deflect. I've used it, it doesn't really... It does a good bit of damage, but meh. Phalanx Flare. Your cast damages foes around you and can deflect. Oh, that's for Aspect of Beowulf. Athena's Aid. Your call makes you invulnerable and deflects all attacks. If you're going for safety, Athena's Aid is amazing. Just take it. And what it'll do is if you get rare or epic or heroic, it'll just add to the amount of time that you get. So very useful there. That was what I used to kill Hades the first time. Holy Shield. It is Revenge. After you take damage nearby foes, again nearby, and briefly deflect. Not very useful. I don't like these because you have to be way too close to the enemy for it to do any good. Bronze Skin. Resist damage from foes' attacks. I mean, what you see is what you get. It's the same thing as Aphrodite's. And they do stack. I've gotten both of them before. It's pretty nice. Sure Footing. This is the best... This is, bar none, the best ability in the game for the blind. Resist damage from traps. It allows the player to walk in Asphodel's magma without taking damage for a short amount of time. Does not protect against puddles of magma created by fireballs. This boon cannot be upgraded via palm. So, if you're blind and you see sure footing with OCR, take it immediately. I don't even care if it's normal, because reduced trap damage for normal is 60%. For heroic, it's 95%. Proud Bearing. You begin your each encounter with your God gauge partly full. I don't use calls that much. I've only started recently to use them extensively, so I haven't actually gotten this one, although I have seen it. And it starts at 20% full, and at heroic it's 40% full. So this is not a small amount. If you use calls often, this would be a good one to take. Blinding Flash. The abilities that can defend also make foes exposed for 5 seconds. And it doesn't say what exposed is, so I'm going to have to go to that real quick. Exposed, for 5 seconds, victim takes more damage when struck from behind. Okay. So, yeah. If you're doing heavy deflect and you're doing melee, that'd be a great one. But for ranged, I don't know. Probably not. Brilliant Riposte. When you deflect attacks, they deal more damage. This one's a good one if you're really good at deflecting attacks. And it does not do a small amount of extra damage. Let's see. Deathless Stand. This is extremely useful. Death Defiance makes you impervious longer. Restores 1 charge now. It's one of the few ways that you actually have without spending an ungodly amount of money to recharge your Death Defiances. So... Last Stand. Death Defiance restores more health than usual. Replenish 1 charge now. Again, more Death Defiance. Divine Protection. Legendary. You have a barrier that negates incoming damage. Attacks that are successfully blocked do not remove the barrier, and you need Brilliant Riposte to get that. And that's the one where if they deflect, it deals more damage, so... Yeah, that'd be a good one. And then we've got all our duo stuff. Let's see. Here we go. Demeter. Stubborn Roots. When you have no death or stubborn defiance, your health slowly recovers. That sounds amazing. A duo with Dio is calculated risk. Your foe's ranged attack projectiles are slower. Projectile speed reduction 40%. That is not a small amount. The duo with Poseidon. Unshakable Metal. You cannot be stunned and resist some damage from bosses. Boss damage reduction 10%. That's not small, so that's something to think about. Your phalanx shot bounces between nearby foes. So, if you were gonna take her spell, this would be the reason why, to get Lightning Phalanx, and it'll bounce 5 times, so that's pretty good. But yeah, Athena is the best girl. Alright, now we've got Demeter. Demeter is all about Frozen. Your attack is stronger, 40%, and inflicts chill. Your special is stronger, 60%, and inflicts chill. So chill stacks up to 10 times, and it freezes your opponent 4% each time. So it gets up to 40%. So that's to keep that in mind. Apparently it's really helpful for bosses, but I don't really see much of a point. Let's see. Crystal Beam. Your cast drops a crystal that fires a beam straight ahead for 5 seconds. This one does auto-aim a little bit, but it does track too a little. So I find it useful to just drop them all the time, because they do a little bit of damage. Icy Flare. Your cast damages foes around you and inflicts chill. Oh, that's for Beowulf. Apparently Beowulf gets different spells from everybody. Yeah, I kind of wish I could unlock that so that I could comment on it. Your dash shoots a gust ahead that inflicts chill. It throws a giant snowball at enemies. It rolls it right towards them, right where you're dashing. And for whatever reason, it fills me with glee to use it. It's just really funny to me just to see Zagreus just roll a snowball at people. Demeter's Aid. Your call creates a winter vortex for 5 seconds, deals damage every half second, inflicting chill. So, probably wouldn't do very helpful for blind people because it is a ground-based thing. So you'd have to know where your enemy was, and they'd have to not move. Ugh, stupid tattoo. It's almost done itching. Frozen Touch. After you take damage, and completely chill your foe. This is actually kind of useful. Of all the revenge things, this would be the one to take. A rare crop. Your boons become common, then gain rarity every 3 encounters. Once taken, it shows which boons are being cultivated as part of the boon description. If Zagreus, which means you can press back on the 360 controller or however you get there, and go to this thing, and it'll tell you which ones. If Zagreus loses the boon that is being cultivated, the rare crop effect is essentially lost. If taken before the 4th zone Temple of Sticks, each small room before the reward counts as 1 encounter. So eventually, whatever either 1, 2, or 3 boons is affected by this will be upgraded if you live long enough. Uh-oh. Don't do it. Oh, I hate that feeling in your nose when you know you have to sneeze, but it's not quite coming out. Very annoying. Anyway, so Ravenous Will. When you have no blood, take 10% less damage and deal more. I mean, it's nice to have, but it's certainly not going to be one I search out because I always have blood. I don't use cast very often, and I really should. Nourished Soul. Any health effects are more potent. Restore 30% now. Definitely get on that. From common to heroic, it only goes up to like 36% from 30%, so even a normal one's going to do you pretty well. Snowburst. Whenever you cast, damage nearby enemies and inflict chill. So presumably you would do this when you're surrounded by enemies to drop your crystal or something else. Arctic Blast. Applying 10 stacks of chill causes a blast, clearing the effect. This one's useful for room clear, but other than that, if you're going heavy chill, I would skip this one because it kind of negates the whole 40% less movement speed and stuff. Apparently it's a 40% less attack speed too, so take that how you will. Killing Freeze. Applying chill to all enemies causes them to slow and decay. Let's see. I don't actually know how this one works. I've never gotten it before. Because it says all enemies, and I mean, that would be really hard to do, wouldn't it? I mean, I guess if you're fast, you can do it. Glacial Glare. Your cast fires longer and inflicts chill. Winter Harvest. I mean, that one's pretty obvious. If you're going for a cast, if you're going for the crystal build, that'd be the one to do. And then her legendary thing, Winter Harvest. Chill affected foes shatter at 10% HP, inflicting chill nearby. This does work for bosses. So, like, say you get Hades down to 10%, you just fucking shatter him. That'd be amazing. I wonder if there's an achievement for that. So now we get to the duos. Dio, Icewine. Your cast blasts an area with freezing festive fog that inflicts chill. You need Dio's spell, which is basically a lob bomb. For Poseidon, Blizzard Shot. Your cast moves slowly, piercing foes and firing shards around it. That would be Poseidon's Flood Shot. And for Zeus, Jolted status does not expire on your enemy's attacks. It just lasts for 10 seconds. So Jolt, whenever enemies attack, they will take a boatload of damage if they have been zapped. So this just strengthens that quite a lot. So now we get to Dio, the guy I used to like a lot more than I end up liking. His attacks inflict hangover, and they last for a few seconds, and they can get up to... I mean, they can get up pretty high, but they only stack 5 times. And they'll tick down at half a second each, but they just don't do enough damage. And they don't increase the overall damage of the attacks. So your attack inflicts hangover, your special inflicts hangover, your cast shoots a projectile that bursts into festive fog. Now, the lob shot is... The trippy shot is... it does quite a lot of damage. And it stuns, but it doesn't really... I mean, stun doesn't really work that well anyway, because you're only stunned for a quarter of a second. Drunken Dash. Your dash inflicts foes near you with hangover. I mean, okay. Dio's Aid. Your call inflicts hangover to all foes around you for 1.5 seconds. Now, this is interesting because the hangover damage gets markedly upgraded. Up to almost 20 damage per tick, and if you have 5 ticks, that's 100 damage per tick. 100 damage every half second. That would be amazing. But Dio is more useful for these. After Party. If your health is low after encounters, restore to the threshold. It starts at 30%. It can get up to 60%. So you could be in very good shape if you take After Party. Festive Outlook. Take less damage when at 40% or below. Your damage resistance goes from 10% all the way up to 20%. So, flat damage decrease. Yay. Premium Vintage. Gain health when you pick up Nectar. Get 1 Nectar now. Yay for Nectar. Free Nectar. I always take that. Strong Drink. Using a fountain restores all your health and gives you bonus damage. This one does not have extra tiers, but you get a 3% damage boost from everything, so that can stack if you get a lot of fountains. I mean, you can get a few right off the bat for beating the bosses, so that's what, 12% chance right there. And then if you get any more, all the more, you know, the fountain rooms that you can get sometimes. Bad Influence. Deal more damage while 3 foes are hangover afflicted. The bonus damage is by quite a surprising lot, like an extra 50% from common, and then it just goes up from there. Numbing Sensation. Your hangover effects also make foes move slower. Meh. I'm not sold on slow, so your mileage may vary. Peer Pressure. Hangover afflicted foes contaminate other foes every 4 seconds. I'm sure that could be useful, but the hangover damage is not very high, like at all. So, again, just the problem with Dio is he doesn't do enough damage. So now we get to take less damage when standing in festive fog. That goes up to, or that starts at 10 to 15% and can go up to as high as 30%. So if you're using the lob shot and you can get into the fog, hey. And then his legendary is hangover afflicted foes take bonus damage in festive fog. Blackout. Damn, they really do. 60% extra damage in the fog. And then we've got these two duo boons. From Poseidon, exclusive access. Any boons you find have superior effects. Minimum boon rarity, epic. I've gotten this a few times and it's fucking wonderful. It makes everything epic. So the duo with Zeus is Scintillating Feast. Your festive fog effects also deal lightning damage periodically. So throw a lob and zap. Hermes, we're not going to worry about. We'll worry about him last. Just before Chaos. Poseidon. Poseidon also kind of sucks. Tempest Strike, Tempest Flourish, and Tidal Dash all do the same thing. They're all knockback. The problem is the knockback doesn't work on bosses. And so the attack damage and the special damage are 30 and 70% each. And your Flood Shot deals a decent amount of damage and knocks foes away. And then your Dash damages... It's actually quite damaging, and it knocks them into the walls, and that'll do more damage. So Tidal Dash actually is one of the most useful of Poseidon's things, because you can knock enemies into walls. Unless you're using melee, it's a pretty good idea to get Tidal Dash. Unless you can get Athena's Dash, which is infinitely better in every way. So, Poseidon's aid, his call just turns you into a small wave that you direct towards enemies. If you're blind, good fucking luck with that. But if you're sighted, you can steer it pretty well. And it does quite a lot of damage. So, yeah, quite a lot of damage indeed. So that's something to think about. Typhon's Fury. You deal more damage when slamming foes into barriers. Yeah, you sure fucking do. 300% base. That's a lot of damage. Hydraulic Might. Your attack and special is stronger in the first 10 seconds of a fight. Meh. I'm not that fast. So. Ocean's Bounty. Any gems, darkness, or obol chamber rewards are worth more. It starts at 50, it ends at 65%, so they can be worth quite a bit more. Oh, my poor voice. Sunken Treasure. Gain an assortment of gems, hearts, ovals, and darkness. So, ovals awarded 50 to 70, health awarded 1 to 3 drops, darkness awarded 50 to 100, chance of nectar 10%, chance of diamond 0.03%. And then the rare and epic are multiplied, so you get a lot more stuff. Razor Shoals. Using knockaway effects also rupture foes. So, rupture is basically his kind of poison damage. It's a small amount of damage every fifth of a second. So that stacks actually surprisingly fast. Actually better than Dio's. Boiling Point. Your God Gauge charges faster when you take damage. Hey, we take damage! And it charges way faster too. It starts at 40 and it ends at 70% faster. Breaking Waves. Slamming foes into walls or corners creates a watery blast in the area. I haven't used this one too much. It does quite a bit of damage, but it doesn't... I don't get enemies clustered that much. Sometimes I will, though. Wave Pounding. Your boons with knockaway effects deal bonus damage to bosses. It starts at 10% and ends at 40%, so that's not too bad, I guess, but it's still underwhelming. Your call pulls in foes and the attack lasts longer. That would be really good to take for blind people, because it would pull in foes. So the theory would be you just run around the map and hope and pray to God you find somebody. Huge Cast Legendary. This one I sold to get an achievement on Steam, because you get a reward for selling a legendary boon, which I thought was pretty funny myself. You give a greater chance of finding fishing points in each chamber. And then his second legendary is your knockaway effect shove foes a second time after the first. I've gotten that one. It fucking moves them away. If you're using the spear or the arrows, you could just play keep away forever, except for bosses. It's amazing. And then for the duo, the last duo, Sea Storm. Your knockaway effects also cause foes to be struck by lightning. So, yeah, take that. Zippy zap. Doesn't do very much damage, but yeah, it does a little. And now finally we get to Zeusy. I have email. Oh, it's nothing interesting. Zeusy. Your attacks emit chain lightning when you damage a foe. The chain lightning does not do very much damage, but it does bounce quite a bit. Your special deals a lightning, causes a lightning bolt to strike nearby foes. This is amazing with the fan shot. And the lightning damage is much higher than the the chain lightning. So that's something to keep in mind. They're both viable though. Electric Shot. Your cast is a burst of chain lightning that bounces between foes. This is very useful for blind people because even if it doesn't hit, it'll fork. So it'll start chain hitting. And then Thunder Dash. Your dash causes a lightning bolt to strike nearby foes. That one's actually not bad. It doesn't do very much damage, but it's something to invest palms into. Zeus's Aid. Your call makes lightning strike nearby foes repeatedly for 1.5 seconds. And the lightning damage is not that much, actually, but it'll last for quite a long while. So, you know, it's an okay call. Heaven's Vengeance. After you take damage, your foe is struck by lightning. The damage radius is very short, so don't take that one. Lightning reflexes. After you dash just before getting hit, a bolt strikes a nearby foe. And this one does quite a bit more damage, about double damage from your regular lightning dash. But it would be a good idea to pick both of them. That way you get a bunch of strikes. Speaking of a bunch of strikes, Storm Lightning. Your chain lightning effects bounce more times before expiring. Take that. You know, for you using your cast. High Voltage. Your lightning bolt effects deal damage in a larger area. That's pretty useful. It's all basically buffing your lightning bolts. Double Strike. Your lightning bolts have a chance to strike twice. Not a very high chance, but, you know, 25%. That's base, so anything higher than that. Static Discharge. Your lightning effects also make foes jolted. Like I said, jolted is when they attack and they get a bunch of damage. Clouded Judgment. Your God Gauge charges faster when you deal or take damage. It's not as fast as Poseidon's, but I mean, it's dealing and taking damage, so that kind of makes sense. Billowing Strength. After using Call, you deal more damage for 15 seconds. That's gonna be that would be really useful if you use it kind of often. Like if you use Demeter's arrows, just call after call after call. And his legendary is Splitting Bolt. All your lightning effects create an additional burst, and the lightning damage is 40, so it just keeps hitting. The goal is to just keep striking, and then you got all the duo stuff that we've already done. Hermes is the second best guy in the game. He's the second best boon in the game because he offers passive boons exclusively that you cannot level up. Swift Strike. Your attack is X% faster. Swift Flourish. Your special is X% faster. Flurry Cast. Your cast is X% faster and fully automatic. What the fuck does that mean? The Infernal Soul Mirror ability? What does that one do? Oh, never mind. Yeah, your cast is X% faster and fully automatic. Quick Favor. Your call charges up automatically. Very useful. Hyper Sprint. For X seconds after you dash, become sturdy and run 100% faster. If you need to zip on out, this would be the way to do it. Greater Haste. You move X% faster. Quick Recovery. After you take damage, quickly dash to recover up to X% lost. Greater Evasion. You have X% chance to dodge. Amazing for Zagreus Fists. From 15% all the way up to 25%. And if you have 25% dodge chance from Hades, and you have 15% from Zagreus's Fists, that's 40% right there. And then you do the special dodge from the dash one in the mirror. That gives you up to 90% dodge chance if you're really, really super lucky for 2 seconds. Greatest Reflex. You can dash X more times in a row, from 1 to 4 extra dashes. Jesus Christ. Second Wind. After using Call, gain dodge chance and move speed for 6 seconds. Wow, bonus dodge chance starts at 30% and ends at 50%, so Jesus Christ. Quick Reload. Foes drop blood stuck in them faster. You don't use those. Side Hustle. Every time you enter a chamber, gain a little wealth. Every time you enter a chamber, you'll gain from 10 to 19 gold a chamber. That's pretty useful, actually. Rush Recovery. You deal bonus damage based on any bonus movement speed. I've never gotten that one. Let's see. Auto Reload. Your health regenerates faster. Or your blood regenerates faster. It doesn't regenerate much faster, but it regenerates faster enough. Legendary. He's got 2 legendaries. 1, your blood automatically returns to you. That'd be for people who are blind and are you still having to use the extra ammo. And then the Stygian Soul one is your cast deals more damage to foes without blood on them. First shot damage plus 50%, so that's not bad. And as for Chaos, woo lad. Let's see. So Chaos's stuff, they give you affluence. Afterwards, any gold you find is worth money. Ambush. Afterwards, you deal % damage striking foes from behind. Assault. Afterwards, you deal X% damage striking undamaged foes. Eclipse. Afterwards, any gold or any gem or darkness is worth more. Favor. Afterwards, boon have a % chance to be rare or better. Also increases the chance of epic and legendary boons by 10%. Flourish. Afterwards, your special deals damage. Grasp. Afterwards, gain more bloodstones. Lunge. Afterwards, your dash attacks deal damage. Shot. Afterwards, your cast deals X damage. Soul. Afterwards, gain health, like permanent health. Strike. Afterwards, your attack gains X damage. And Defiance. Afterwards, gain 1 death defiance, this escape attempt. Let's see. This gives Zagreus +1 slot of Defiance, which is only lost after his eventual death. I've never actually gotten that one. And then the curse is you've got Abyssal. For the next 3 to 4 encounters, you take extra damage from traps. Addled. For the next 3 to 4 encounters, each time you cast, get hit for damage. Atrophic. For the next 3 to 4 encounters, your life total is reduced. Caustic. For the next 3 to 4 encounters, slain foes toss bombs at you. Enshrouded. For the next 4 to 5 chambers, chamber rewards are hidden. So blind people, take that one. Excruciating. For the next 3 to 4 encounters, you take extra damage. Flayed. For the next 3 to 4 encounters, each time you use your special, get hit for damage. Halting. For each 3 to 4 encounters, your dash has less range. Maimed. For the next 3 to 4 encounters, each time you attack, get hit for damage. Paupers. For the next 3 to 4 encounters, you cannot earn gold. Rolling. For the next 3 to 4 encounters, you face 30 to 80% more foes. Slippery. For the next 3 to 4 encounters, you cannot collect blood for 10 to 15 seconds. Slothful. For the next 3 or 4 encounters, you have less movement speed. So mix and match, and that's how Chaos works. You take what's good, you ignore what's bad, pretty much. And I like Chaos because you can make stupid builds. Like, you can stack special damage, you can stack attack damage, you can stack bonus gains for, like, darkness and gems. It's really nice. So finally, we're going to get into the zones and the enemies. So Tartarus. Tartarus features 3 types of traps. The first are spike pits on the floor. If an enemy or Zagreus walks on them, you get 5 damage, or the enemies get 100 damage. Tartarus features chimera traps. These traps are small cannons linked to pressure plates in rooms. When an enemy or Zagreus walks on a pressure plate, the cannon will fire a barrage of missiles in the direction of the pressure plate. And it also has barrels of explosions, which you hit the barrel, it makes a noise that you get the fuck away from the barrel, and it explodes. Mini-boss encounters, you've got the Bloodless Chamber. You must fight 2 elite Inferno Bombers. That one's not too bad. They're just 2 elite mooks. The second mini-boss is the Wretched Shade. In it, Zag must fight the Wretched Shade, which teleports around the room after each attack. It is extremely irritating. It either does a ranged attack and fires off immediately, just zips right away. Or it does a melee attack, which if you're not quick, you're going to get hit for the whole thing, but it hangs around for a while after that. So basically, you wait for the melee attack and just beat the shit out of it. The third mini-boss is the Doomstone, so it's a big old brimstone. It fires lasers. Let's see. The encounter takes place in a square chamber with deep chasms cutting into the chamber's center from top left, top right, and bottom right. Now for the enemies. The Inferno Bomber, the Wretched Sneak, and the Doomstone. We've already dealt with those. Boss encounters, you've got Meg. So let me just open those up. Meg, Electo, and Tisiphone. I guess I would need that. There we go. So here we go. The enemies, the thugs. These are your big hulking enemies which just swing. They take a long time to swing, but they hit like all hell. When they're elite, they attack faster. You've got the imps, which fire projectiles. When they're elite, they fire more projectiles. They're very low health. The louts, or fatties, as I call them, they charge you. When they're elite, the delay to charge is shorter, and the charge moves faster, and boy, they aren't fucking around with that one. Boomers, pests. They throw mines around the room. The mines explode after a brief delay. When they're elite, they move faster and they throw bombs faster. The skulls, they charge at the enemy, much like the enemies in Doom do. Because there's skull enemies in Doom as well, and they do the same thing. When they're elite, they move and attack faster. These enemies float and cannot trigger traps. So the skulls and the Skull-O-Mat tend to be all over the place. Spawns numbskulls periodically until destroyed. When an elite, it spawns them faster. Spawns numbskulls are also elites, so take care of those very quickly. Wingers. No, ringers. Ringers are basically shackled hands, and they grab you, and they stop you, and they suck. And I haven't worked out their sound cues yet, so be careful with that shit. When they're elite, their attack cooldown is faster. Brimstone. They shoot lasers. So that's those are all the enemies you fight in Tartarus. As for the Furies, Meg's got a lunge, which is just she charges up and you can hear it, and she just zoom right forward. Usually do it twice. Her whip whirl you can actually cheese. You get really close to her, you pop her a couple of times, then when she makes the little noise that she's going to do her whip, you just dash away really quick. The volley sucks. She fires a ton of these friggin' balls that are really hard to dodge. If you've got any kind of deflection, use the deflection, because you're going to need to. And then the flames are just she throws, she has flames just shoot up from the ground in little patterns. So best to just zip away from them. She's not impossible, but she's definitely a wake-up call. As for Electo, she does a lunge. She pauses briefly and dashes towards Zagreus, same thing. Whip arc, she attacks in a broad arc in front of her instead of kind of all around her. She builds rage, and she releases volleys in all directions and is disrupted if attacked, so try to get in there and hit her. Lightning Chase. Electo repeatedly summons a circle in Zagreus' current position, dealing damage if he stands in one when they activate. During this time, she will rapidly spin and follow his movements, opening herself up to attacks. And then her Whip Shot. She summons a whirling formation of spikes that functions similarly to Blade Rift. She fires Blade Rifts at you. I really hate her Rage mode, because when she's in Rage, she is almost impossible to hit. Let's see here. When her rage meter is filled, she becomes invulnerable for a very brief duration. She then rapidly increases her attack and movement speed and briefly unlocks all of her abilities regardless of her health. Her lunge and whip arc attacks release volleys of projectiles. Her lightning chase receives an increase to the rate of summons, and her whip shots become larger. When she's reduced to health, she becomes invulnerable. So yeah, it's basically that's Electo. Tisiphone has the Whip Lasso. He lashes out at Zagreus, stunning him if hit, and lunges towards his location, emitting projectiles outward, like perpendicularly. So like if you dodge to the side, one of the projectiles will hit you, so be careful about that. A Whip Combo. She dashes towards him in a large arc and then releases a random direction in a large arc. After both dashes, she will slash her whip in an area around her. Slow Beam. She fires a beam of slow shots in all directions. And then Lightning. She summons a line of circles around Zagreus' current position from her own, dealing damage if he has stood in any of them. And she starts summoning those when she's at low health, like a lot. So that is the Furies. They can be dealt with. Now Asphodel and all the fire. Since Asphodel is a natural biome, traps are more natural hazards in environments. However, the explosive barrels from Tartarus return in Asphodel. These can only be triggered by Zagreus' attacks, and after a short delay will detonate, doing high damage to anything caught within the blast radius, but will do considerably less damage to Zagreus compared to enemies. In Asphodel, the rivers of magma around the island serve as the biome's main trap. After a brief delay while standing on magma, non-floating enemies will begin to take damage very rapidly, which increases the longer they stand in it. Zagreus will also take rapid damage in magma, starting at 1 damage per tick and increasing rapidly until death. Dashing or stepping off the magma resets the ticks back to 1. The magma also has a slowing effect, though this can be easily countered with a dash. Fireballs will sometimes be spawned, covering parts of the island in magma for limited periods of time. Additionally, after enough enemies have been killed, smoke vents will appear around the room. These occasionally create smoke, which obscure the area around them and blur the screen of the player should Zagreus step in them. These traps do not affect enemies. Destructible pillars in Asphodel will drop money in addition to the debris that harms enemies. Huh, I didn't know that. So the enemies, Void Stones. They're gems. They're floating gems that make enemies invincible, so kill them fucking immediately. The Mega Gorgon. Oh, this is the halfway boss. The Mega Gorgon is basically an upgraded Doomstone, except she fires petrifying shots instead of lasers. Just get behind her and beat the shit out of her, pretty much. Skull Crusher attacks by lifting itself into the air and crashing back down to the ground above Zagreus, doing heavy damage in a shockwave. The mini-boss encounter is always an elite and moves faster in the air than its traditional counterpart. When in the air, this enemy cannot trigger traps. So the Spreader, the Witches, he calls them, casts a spread of 4 streams of 5 projectiles in a spiral around itself. This mini-boss, you end up getting like 5 or 6 of these fucking things. If you don't have a way to dispel projectiles, you will not win this fight. But if you have, like, fan shot from the bow, this fight becomes trivially easy. Or you just dash. Or deflect, you know? Having deflect special fan shot makes this boss trivially easy. As for the bosses themselves, you've got Lerny, the Bone Hydra. Hey. As for the enemies themselves, you've got Bloodless. After a brief delay, charges at the player, dealing moderate damage. Once charging, it cannot be stunned. Hops around the room to escape magma pits and avoid damage. When an elite, it charges faster. The Bone Raker are blue skeletons that just attack, attack, attack. They swipe, swipe, swipe. When they're elite, they swipe faster. Bastards. And they also hop. Burn Flinger. Let's see. Throws homing grenades, which explode on contact with the player, walls, or after traveling for a brief time. On death, it drops a bomb at its location. Gorgons shoot slow-moving projectiles at the player that inflict petrified. These projectiles cannot be destroyed. When it's elite, it shoots a stream of 3 instead. So they're basically upgraded imps. Inferno Bombers, we fought them before. Numbskulls, we fought them before. Skull Crushers, I already described them. Skullomats. Now, the Skullomats in Asphodel take way more damage to kill. Slam Dancer hops around and follows Zagreus until it is adjacent to him. After a brief pause, it then jumps in the air and slams down, creating a wide explosion that deals heavy damage. As an elite, it moves faster. Slam Dancers suck if you're caught unawares. They will follow you very aggressively. Wave Makers create shockwaves that travel across the room, damaging and knocking back the player. These waves can hit the player repeatedly. If you have dash and you dash into them, they will fire right back at the enemy with great speed and do quite a lot of damage. Drakens pop out of the ground. I really hate these things, but their projectiles can be dealt with easily, so they're annoying. If they're elites, they attack more quickly. And Spreader. Cast a spread of 3 projectiles in the player's direction. These projectiles deal low damage and move at a slow speed. When an elite casts 9 projectiles instead. I don't think I've dealt with these enemies, or if I have, I haven't dealt with them very much. It's just more spam, pretty much. Alright, so now we get into Elysium. Oh wait, no, we gotta talk about Lerny. So the Bone Hydra lunges. Yeah, the Bone Hydra's in the middle of the room, and it either lunges, it fires a volley of missiles, which you can hide from if you find the pillars, or it ground slams. If it's at low health, it'll ground slam 3 times. It also has variants it can become after the player has killed it. The Slammer is the white-blue variant, it always does ground slam. Ranged is the orange variant, it does a bunch of magma spit. The Summoner, the green variant, summons a bunch of annoying enemies, and the Control purple variant fires waves instead of bullets. So yeah, be careful of that shit. And then the support heads basically are all kind of the same thing. You got Volley, Ground Slam, Magma Spittle, Hydra Teeth. Spits out 3 orbs with 50 HP, which spawn a Bloodless unless destroyed within 5 seconds, or waves. So, Lerny's chaotic as hell. But my advice for dealing with Lerny is you take him down to 66% health, then you've got your 3 heads to deal with. What I generally tend to do is I tend to go northeast and then work my way down to the south and then to kind of northwest to deal with all the heads. And then when you get the main head down to 33% health, they do it again. You just start at the one side and work your way down to the other. So now we're at Elysium. Oh god. So Elysium, oh, my voice is getting really fucked. I'm gonna have to take more water. Goodness me, I hope this helps people. I'm fucking thrashing my voice to shreds here. Traps. The traps at Elysium act differently than the traps from previous levels and can be used more offensively than the ones in Asphodel or Tartarus. Elysium features a wide variety of traps. One of these traps are the regrowing phoenix eggs. They're bombs. Automatic firing crossbow traps. These tend to be in a single area. They tend to be like in the corners. And then it also has hoplite statues which line some of the walls of the chambers. Anything that stands directly in front of the statue will be attacked by its spear. And the spear does quite a bit of damage. The wall pillars in Elysium will regrow over time after being completely destroyed. Similar to the Phoenix Eggs, these can be used to repeatedly bring down rebel enemies, dealing high amounts of damage. The mini-bosses. Elysium features 2 mini-bosses. You either get Asterius, or you get a fight with a dire soul catcher, which I call the balloons. They look like balloons. The room will spawn an elite soul catcher in the center, surrounded by pools of the river Lethe. Elite Exalted will begin to spawn in the room, but will spawn in unarmed. Their weapons will appear around the room, and they will attempt to rearm themselves during the fight with the elite soul catcher. While the Exalted spawned in eventually will have a cap, they can very easily overwhelm a player if not dealt with while taking care of the soul catcher. Once the soul catcher dies, Exalted will stop spawning. The encounter will end when every enemy has been slain, including any Exalted. We'll get to those. And then you get the second one is your fight with Asterius. The soul catcher summons hordes of butterflies that fly towards the player, dealing low contact damage to the player. These fuckers are really annoying because there's no sound to them. They just make noise. And Asterius is, well, we'll get to him. Alright. So the boss encounters are going to have to open for both Theseus and Asterius, because those are the only things you're fighting. Enemies! The Exalted. One enemy type that is worthy to note are the Exalted. These come in various classes with different weapons. However, all of them are merely separated from their weapons when killed. Disarmed Exalted souls will attempt to rearm themselves by traveling to a nearby weapon and performing a short channel on it. If successful, it respawns as an Exalted of that weapon's type with full health. Exalted of any type can rearm with any weapon and thus swap their weapons mid-combat. It's important to note that disarmed Exalted souls have very low health amounts and have no attacks. Their channel on the weapon is also interrupted by weapon stagger effect, knockback, or stuns, assuming they're unarmored. So you've got the Exalted Brightsword, which does a fast melee range arc, which deals high damage. Additionally, it can create shockwaves. And it can dash around the rooms at very fast speeds. The Exalted Great Shields are the bane of my existence. Attack with a fast spin attack that can deal instances of low damage in very quick succession. Additionally, it can create a shockwave that travels in a straight line, dealing damage. As an elite, it can create 3 shockwaves. When not stunned or attacking, it holds up a large shield, protecting it from most attacks from the front. These things are an absolute bitch to kill. I truly hate them. The Exalted Long Spears are actually pretty easy. They attack with a fast melee jab, which deals high damage. They can leap to the player's location, slamming the ground and dealing high damage with a small area around it. You keep dodging, you'll be fine. The Strongbows suck, though. They attack with a fast-traveling arrow shot, which deals high damage. They aim before firing. When a Strongbow is aiming, a target appears above Zagreus' head. Arrows can be blocked or deflected and do not travel through walls. They can dash around the room at very fast speed. Only does this to escape from melee range or to reposition for its next attack. So yeah, the Strongbows tend to be out in the back, so try to find them as soon as possible. And remember, after you kill them, don't forget to kill the souls that pop right out of them. The Flame Wheel. aka poppers. When it notices Zagreus, it primes a fuse and charges after him at high speeds. They're not fucking around with high speeds. If near Zagreus, it explodes, dealing moderate damage and dying instantly. Elites, although they gain no other buffs, are worthy to note as the armor protects them from being staggered, making them much more dangerous. The Nemean Chariot. When it notices Zagreus, it charges at him at high speeds. If it hits him, it will deal high damage and knock him back, continuing the charge. A single charge can hit him multiple times. I have died to these before. Charges can be interrupted by stuns and staggers. So the big chariots are a pain in the ass. Soul Catchers are the balloons, which throw out butterflies. They're very annoying, kill them quickly. And then you've got Void Stones and Spitters from the other place. So, Theseus and Asterius. Theseus is known as Zap Brannigan because he sounds kind of like him, actually. Which I found pretty funny. Let's see here. His spear spin, he performs a spin attack. His spear throw, he takes aim like the archers. And this thing moves very quickly, so if you can get behind a pillar, all's the better. Or charge at the exact right moment. His charge, Asterius calls Theseus over and then throws him at Zagreus, dealing damage on impact. If Asterius has fallen, Theseus cannot use this ability. And Shield Bash. Theseus calls out to Asterius, having him bull rush into the shield that causes a powerful damaging wave across the arena. Theseus also carries a shield. Ugh. So he's every annoying part of the fucking Exalted. When Theseus is reduced to 50% health, he will become briefly invulnerable and enter his second phase. In his second phase, he has access to a new passive ability, Olympian Aid. He will call upon the gods to drop AoE bombs on you. Theseus can only call for aid from an Olympian who has not yet given Zagreus a boon in the current run. Theseus will never call on aid from Hermes. I wonder if you can cheese that. While initially calling, the Olympian will spawn damaging circle at Zagreus positions very quickly, dealing damage if he stands in them for when they activate. After this, he will resume his normal attack pattern, and an aid attack below will happen every 10 seconds, depending on which Olympian was called. And it's basically all the same thing. It's a bunch of circles that you have to avoid. If Asterius is killed before Theseus, he will become enraged, moving and attacking at a faster rate. He will also lose access to charge. As for Asterius, he has an axe combo, so swing, swing. He has a leap combo, and then he leaps. Sometimes he'll leap 3 times, especially when he's low on health. Bull Rush. Good luck avoiding this. I've never been able to avoid this properly. He paws at the ground and then sprints, chasing Zagreus around the arena. He can turn at a reduced rate while charging, and if he comes into contact with a wall, he is stopped and stunned. Overhead Axe. He will, with little warning, swing his axe above his head and leap at Zagreus' current position, creating damaging waves behind him which travel away from him when he lands. Like with Leap, he can repeat this attack twice more in a row. Goodness me. Crescent Combo. He will, with little warning, swing his axe twice in a large arc in front of him. So as you can see, he's pretty melee-oriented. When reduced to 50%, he will taunt. When reduced to 20%, he will become invulnerable and call off the fight, congratulating Zag for his victory and leaving the arena to recover before the Elysium Stadium encounter. So, how do I deal with Theseus and Asterius? I kill the bull first. I try like hell to kill the bull first, because the last thing you want is to get Theseus down to 50% health, dealing with him and Asterius and the Olympians. So, I'm not very good at this fight. I've lost so many times on this fight. It's very hard. It's actually harder than Hades, to me. God damn, does my throat hurt. I don't have any... Do I have any lozenges? I might actually have one. Let me go a digging. That's not a lozenge. Hey, I do have a lozenge. Excellent. There we go. So, those are those two fuckers. The Temple of Styx. The temple features a different layout from previous biomes. The first room of the biome is a hub room, where Zagreus will be returning to often as he travels there. Charon's final shop is at the bottom of it, and it'll always offer a Hermes boon of boosted rarity for 500, or an Anvil of Fates for 275, one of the 2 bounty resources, a diamond 1000, or Titan Blood 1200, and 4 other upgrades, God boons, Centaur hearts, or Palms of Power. 2 of his offerings will be upgraded versions of the boons or palms with increased prices. Boons will cost 450 rather than 150, but have boosted rarity, whereas palms cost 300 rather than 100, but increase a boon's level by 2 instead. So, in order to escape Styx, Zagreus must find a fetid sack within the Satyr tunnels of the temple. There's usually 5 of them. In fact, there are 5 of them. To persuade Cerberus to abandon his post and allow Zagreus past. 5 wings of the tunnel open in the western part of the hub. Each wing contains consists of compact and small chambers with no rewards, concluding in one final large chamber. 2 of the wings will always be elite wings, offering more dangerous encounters, which end with a mini-boss and have increased rewards. The Styx wings with no fated authority use will always offer 2 to 3 boons, a Daedalus hammer if only 1 hammer had been picked up prior to the temple, and a combination of Oval, Palm of Power, and Centaur Heart rewards for the remaining wings. If fated authority is used on a character, it will not revert back to the original version if Zagreus travels down a different path instead and returns to the hub later. After finding the fetid sack, Zagreus can talk to Cerberus, who will accept it and leave the room, allowing access to the exit door of the underworld. When Cerberus moves, all remaining wings of Styx will be closed, and Zagreus will no longer be able to return there. Charon's shop will remain open, allowing for potential last-minute upgrades. Traps. Styx features the most deadly traps in Hades. All the traps deal very high damage and activate very quickly. Guillotine traps are the most common trap in Styx. These traps drop large axes from the ceiling, which do very high damage should Zagreus or an enemy be beneath them. Networks of these axes can be linked to pressure plates in rooms, or they can automatically trigger on a loop. Another dangerous trap is the snake saw launcher. These traps continuously shoot large buzzsaws across the room in a straight line. These saws can be deflected but cannot be destroyed and do very high damage. It also features poison vents, which randomly release poison clouds. These clouds can only hurt Zagreus and inflict him with a stack of Styx poison if he lingers too long within a cloud. Every Styx chamber contains at least 1 Mandragora curing pool, and larger rooms containing 2 or 3 of them. The pools can be used to cleanse the poison. Curing pools are often placed in precarious position, usually around traps. Using a pool puts it on a very short cooldown. Chaos gates and infernal gates cannot spawn in any Styx chamber. Wells of Charon, infernal troves, and pools of purging can, however, albeit at a reduced rate. If unlocked, valuable urns are more frequent in Styx than in any other biome. So the mini-boss encounters... The mini-boss encounters are basically just stronger versions of these enemies. The only 2 bosses to be found once the player reaches the temple, one inside the temple itself and another one after Zagreus leaves for the surface. One of them, which can be found inside the chambers, is the Tiny Vermin, a much stronger version of the regular crawler. The Tiny Vermin attacks much faster, deals a lot more damage, and has 10,000 health. The second boss the second boss of the area, the final boss of the game, is Lord Hades himself, which we'll get to. So, Bothers. Attacks by lobbing high damage bombs at Zagreus' position. Crawlers move incredibly fast and deal contact damages with a very short attack animation. Additionally, has very few hit points, can be dispatched in 1 hit or 2 hits if elite. These enemies cannot trigger traps despite being walking enemies. Gigantic Vermin. Attacks with a short-range melee jab which deals high damage. Can create puddles of Styx poison around itself. Satyr Cultists. Attack by shooting poisonous darts. Elites fire a bunch of the damn things. The darts do minimal damage but inflict Zagreus with the poison. By the way, the poison is even faster killing than the fucking... the fucking magma, so that might be a major stumbling block for the blind. So you're gonna want to be really fucking careful about that. Snake Stones. Shoot multiple lasers in a spread at Zagreus. They do a lot of damage too. So, yeah. And on the elite enemies are just so much worse. Now we finally get to Hades. I do not I don't have any ideas for Hades, because I still haven't beaten him except for the one time, and I got super lucky on that one, but I will read out all of his attacks. So maybe you can extrapolate something. Lunge. He moves towards Hades, piercing his spear. At lower health, he will throw 2 casts to the side before doing this. Spin attack. Pretty obvious. Skull cast. Similar to Zagreus' own ability, you can shoot a skull-shaped cast at him. If it hits him, it will remain on him for several seconds before dislodging. If the skull is not destroyed within 5 seconds, it will detonate a damaging wave within a larger radius across the arena. This is a big fucking wave, too. When he is brought near death the first time, he will pause for a while, as though defeated, before regaining his strength, refilling his health bar and starting his second phase by unleashing a damaging wave. This phase includes new attacks. More swipe combo. Even bigger swipe combo. Brimstone attack. And vase summon. The vase summon is a bunch of vases that, if they break, will summon AoE, like, grabbers that'll grab you and completely get you fucked up. Because it'll just let Hades beat on you and, you know. So anyway, the big one, the one that is going to kill blind people left, right, and center, is the Brimstone attack. I've heard rumors you can stand on Hades himself and not take damage, but good fucking luck. The best thing to do is try like hell to avoid them. There's 2 pillars that you can get to in the north and south center of the screen. But again, I don't know how you'd be able to gauge if you're there or not. Maybe you could tell if using Athena's dash, because when she goes through walls, it makes a tink noise. I don't know. So yeah, that is Hades. He's a tough motherfucker, I'll tell you that. So that is the wiki. That is me going down the wiki. That is me giving you my opinions on stuff. Honest to God, the way you're going to progress in this game is by spending darkness, and there is a mod that I advise blind people to use if God mode is just too hard still, and I will link it in the description. And it has instructions on how to install it and everything, and you may have to reinstall it after patches drop. I don't know, but I hope you all found this information enlightening and helpful. Your mileage may vary. This is just me. I'm a melee guy, although I do have some weirdly good luck with the bow sometimes. I'm not the biggest fan of the gun. I love the shield and the spear. I like the versatility of it. Oh shit! I never went around the keepsakes. We gotta do the keepsakes. We can't stop yet. I haven't gotten companions yet, so I can't talk on them. So here are the keepsakes. Now, what you do with these is you give nectar to people. And for the gods, you give nectar to them before you take their boons. So, for Cerberus, you get extra health. For Achilles, you get less damage taken from the front, but more from the back. With Nyx, you get damage striking undamaged foes, also striking foes from behind. So that's basically upgrading your first mirror ability. Thanatos gets you get extra damage for each encounter you clear without taking any damage. Good luck. Charon, you get items from the Well of Charon if durations increased by up to 8 encounters, which is kind of nuts. Hypnosis coin purse gives you 150 gold to spend as you please once per escape attempt. Basically, the idea with Hypnosis coin purse is you take it at the beginning of the game and then you switch to something else when you get to Asphodel. Meg, deal extra damage when at lower 30% or below health. Orpheus's Distant Memory, deal more damage to distant foes, at least 500 units away. I don't know how you'd even gauge that. Zeus's Harpy Feather Duster. Broken urns have a better % chance to contain healing items. This is really useful if you can reliably destroy urns, because 6% chance is quite a lot. Skelly gives you an extra life. Zeus, Poseidon, Athena, Aphrodite, Ares, Artemis, Dionysus, and Demeter all give you... the next boon you find will be from them, and their blessings have a better chance to be rare or better. Hermes gets extra dodge chance and move speed for each encounter you clear quickly. Quickly varies based on the encounter type and biome. More time will be offered in higher biomes and in special encounters such as bosses, mini-bosses, and Thanatos encounters. Chaos is Cosmic Egg. Enter Chaos Gates without sacrificing health. Blessings from Chaos have a much better chance, double better chance to be rare or better. Sisyphus's Sheltered Shackle. Your attack, special, and cast each deal way more damage while not empowered by a boon. This one's useful if you're going for a specific sort of build. Like if you're going like I do, hard focus on just the fan shot for the bow, this would make the regular shot really useful for plinking enemies. Eurydice, in the final encounter in each underworld region, boss, take 0 damage from the first 3, 4, or 5 times foes hit you. This can be insanely useful to the blind, but I would suggest the Skelly's extra life before that. Patroclus, after taking damage, become invulnerable. You get more iframes for and as a refresh after 7 seconds. Persephone and Hades, I haven't gotten yet. Palm Blossom, Persephone. After every 4 encounters, gain +1 level. +1 boon level. That can be useful if you go low boons, or if you only use the boons that you really, really like. And Sigil of the Dead, your call becomes Hades' Aid, which basically makes you invisible. Your God gauge starts a little bit fuller. I don't think I'd ever use that. And then Companions, which I haven't unlocked. So, there. That's everything. I almost fucking forgot the keepsakes. I feel so stupid. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this. I hope this was helpful. I'm sorry I don't have gameplay footage. My thumb is still kind of fucked up. I'll probably return to it in a couple of days. Anyway, like I said, I hope you like this. I have been Blind Ryan, and I will see you all next time.